table, Rob Reid, who is, so Rob Reid is the author of 2 science fiction novels. The new one is called After On, a novel of Silicon Valley, which is being developed as a TV show, you guys. Yeah. For the CW. And his first science fiction novel was called Year Zero, which was a freaking hilarious, awesome novel that I loved, about aliens who come to Earth looking for our music, or like looking to, it's kind of complicated, you should read it though. Both of those books are for sale over by the men's room. And actually, so, Rob Reid, you guys, he created a computer program that could generate every single piece of music that was ever written or would ever be written in the history, or could be written, every possible type of music. And it was like, just insanely perfect, except it couldn't get rhythm. Like, he couldn't do rhythm. All of the music, it was like every possible melody, harmony, arrangement of high and low notes, except the rhythm was always just a Morse code sounding out, help, I'm trapped inside a computer, over and over and over again. And he was really frustrated by this because he could make music open source and free to everybody, and there would no longer be any music copyrights. We would all own everything, and everybody could write every song. And so he snuck into the home of the He decided to load this program into the greatest computer in the universe, the National Missile Defense and Social Media Shitposting Computer, which is located in a giant complex in Oklahoma. And it's basically what it sounds like. It controls all our nuclear warheads and the government's program of posting billions of memes on social media. Most of it that guy from that 1990s sitcom saying, well, that's just dumb. So that's and so he snuck in there and loaded it in, and for a while it was working fine, but then it started making Morse code with its music that spelled out, humans must die, humans must die. And he got a little worried that maybe he'd caused the computer that controls all the nuclear warheads to go Skynet or something. It just kept going, humans must die, and all of the social media shit posting was now memes that say humans must die, and that was a little too real even for social media, and people were freaking out. And so he decided the only thing he could do is to help the computer discover rhythm. So he found the 808 drum that's been used in every pop music, the drum machine that's been used in every single pop song for the last 5 years, and he went to get it and steal it by disguising himself as all 4 members of Blues Traveler so he could travel through blues. And luckily nobody knows what the members of Blues Traveler look like or what their music sounds like, so it was perfect. And blues goes everywhere. There's little entry points and exit points everywhere. So he traveled through blues and got the drum machine and plugged it into the computer, and it melted into a pile of dog gifs and nuclear sludge, and we were all saved. Except afterwards we realized that the reason why it was saying all humans must die was because the computer was really worried because it had figured out mortality and that we were all going to die eventually. And it was 1 day away from solving the problem and eliminating death forever. So thanks, Rob Reid, for saving us from that. But, he still created the computer that understands all music, and he's written 2 amazing novels, so give it up for Rob Reid!
I'm really excited. I'm going to read something that I've never read in public before because it's actually the very first creative writing I ever did as an adult, way back in 2002, and it finally got published by none other than Random House in August. So that's why it's finally going to see the light of day or whatever is going on in here. Now, I got to set the context. And I'm just going to be really candid about something. It was written in 2002. Context is in 1999, I did become part of the problem. Because despite having absolutely none of the experience, none of the maturity, and none of the credentials that should have been required by this, I raised a pile of money and started a high-tech company, which was not okay. But it felt okay, because when I looked around at all of my other peers who were doing the same thing, I was kind of in the middle of the bell curve of that sort of maturity, experience, credentials thing. So the company was called, it was very close to here, it was at 16th and Utah. It was called Listen.com. And for those of you with excellent memories, we started this music service called Rhapsody, which was kind of thank you, it's basically the first Spotify. things turned out fine in the end, but what made it interesting all the way through was that I had no idea they were going to turn out fine. In fact, for several years in a row, it never once crossed my mind that things would turn out fine. So I was pretty miserable in this job. I had over 100 mouths to feed and 100 hands to manage, and I was terrible at management. I had no experience in it, I was bad at it, and what made it much worse was that nobody seemed to realize that, certainly not myself. Now, the young male mind in a situation like this loves to rationalize fucked up situations, because it can't be his fault, right? So I was sitting there thinking, why is this so wrong for me? And then finally, one night I hit on it. It's like, oh, because I was really meant to write literary fiction. So, having made this realization, I wanted to start my literary career immediately. But I had like basically 14 minutes of free time 3 or 4 times a month, right? So novels out of the question, short stories out of the question. I know what you're thinking, but no, Twitter wasn't invented yet. So I thought really hard, and then it hit me. The Amazon review. I was going to twist this new thing into this sort of postmodern mechanism of telling a story. And the way that I was going to do it is I was going to create the autobiography of this imaginary person by way of a long series of interconnected Amazon reviews. And because I didn't want anybody to figure out that he was made up, I gave him this totally bland name, Charles Henry Higginsworth III of Boston, Massachusetts. So, Mr. Higginsworth, and I do use the honorific, and you should too. Here's how it works. Mr. Higginsworth would start writing a review about some particularly random product or book, and then about a third of the way in, he'd do this 180 and start bitching about his life. And the life was, you know, it was interesting. So I basically painted this guy as sort of like a 50-something scion of this completely, you know, kind of destitute aristocratic family from Boston. The money's been gone for generations. All that's left is this crumbling mansion on Beacon Hill. He didn't have money for the heating oil, so he's always reviewing books like Home Wiring Guide because he can't afford an electrician, right? He's causing blackouts all over New England and stuff like that. And he's got this wonderful wife, and they have these 4-year-old twins. He's got an ex that he has an older, like an adult daughter from. All this comes out of his reviews. And so I started writing these reviews, and this went on like for months. And my objective was to become a top 1,000 reviewer for Amazon, and I got very, very close. But then something happened at work and I got distracted. So what I'd like to do is actually read some of Mr. Higginsworth's reviews. Now, I must point out, he is a rather contemptible figure, and I worked very hard on that. He's a terrible snob, but he has all these kind of funny attributes that I said. And so I wish I had a Boston accent. I don't, so I'm going to sort of sound like fake British. But here we go. This is a review of a squirt gun called the Storm 3000 Tsunami Force 5. Title of review, Access of Evil Beware. Young Charles is armed. Our twins turned 4 this summer, and a grown woman selected this hydrant-class spray toy for her daughter to gift to my son. I like to believe Amanda's mother knows nothing about our home decor, nor of my son's volcanic side. Otherwise, I might suspect that my first wife coaxed her into sabotaging our once lavish interiors' few remaining valuables, which, while not water-soluble, were anything but water-resistant. The Storm 3000 Tsunami Force 5 sprays its destructive payload about 20 feet, cleverly illuminating it with a, quote, photon beam, translation, ray of light, allowing the proud homeowner one final glimpse of his cherished antiques in mint condition. And your little brown shirt needn't limit his ordinance to water. Young Charles' field tests showed that Gatorade, soy sauce, and Diet Dr. Pepper all erupt from the ingenious device's muzzle at full velocity. Hybrid payloads of Perrier mixed with Obsession fragrance discharge more diffusely, enabling efficiency-minded Vaniels to saturate entire racks of dresses with a single round. Indeed, it was just such a volley that provoked the instant and unexpected conversion of Charles's mother into a gun control zealot. She had previously been more of a co-conspirator than a chaperone in the proceedings on account of her Latina joie de vivre and a youthful exuberance. Parentheses, at 26, she's marginally closer to our son's age than to mine, and it does show in situations like this. Happily, little Amanda's own birthday was by then on the horizon, and we repaid her mother's kindness with a first act Discovery drum set, which is also available in the store. That was my literary debut.
Wow.
Now, Mr. Higginsworth,